special year-end in review show, and we are joined today by, well, let me do the introductions proper, if you will. First of all, time for pizza. You've tried the rest, now try the best.
Fuck you.
You can see Jared's palpable disappointment. I am Scott Apollo Freed. Beside me is
Jared Airwolf Berman.
And special guest, Aru. Special guest, Brandon Mudflap Melendez.
Mudflap.
Yes.
He's going for the professor.
The professor. Professor X, if you will.
Professor Mudflap?
Yeah.
Professor Mudflap. Professor X Mudflap.
I am of an X Mudflap.
Yes.
There you go.
Right.
So, as
we're here today in the one, the only FreeKosherRico Dungeon Studio.
Exactly. Brought to you by our friend here, Professor X Mudflat.
And the good people at Cliffco Mortgage Company.
So we are going to discuss, some of the usual things we discuss, the same topics, but we're going to try and give it a bit of a year-end spin, talk about some of the highlights in popular media, and unpopular media, as it may be, over the past year. And so we're going to start, as usual, with the world of professional wrestling. Now, I think the big story in pro wrestling this year was the ascendancy of one CM Punk to a position of prime importance in WWE.
BM Funk.
BM Funk.
My favorite wrestler.
Or possibly BM Stunk would have also been appropriate.
Right.
BM are my initials.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I'm sorry you have such bad initials.
Oh, seventh
My,
grade.
my dad's are MF, so...
That's pretty awesome.
We need to start a club.
So, yeah, I mean, Punk, a lot of people got really into him over the summer, then it sort of fizzled out. And, Brandon, your thoughts, because we haven't had you talking about Punk on the show yet.
No, I mean, I remember watching CM Punk on the new ECW, and I generally remember saying, that is a really stupid name. Why does he have a tattoo of Pepsi on his arm? However, I guess starting with the whole return of the WWE ice cream thing, or WWF ice cream thing, he really did get a lot of traction. What's the term? Pop? You got a huge pop?
Yeah, pop, reaction,
Yeah.
overitude.
Yeah, all of this, and I mean, I like it. He's sort of reminiscent of an Attitude Era kind of movement, like stick it to the man, and at the moment the man was Triple H, and now it's boring John Laurinaitis with his extra monotone. But
yeah.
It's good. I just wish that for someone of CM Punk's caliber to be coming, as much as I don't like his finisher, I wish he had a less stupid-looking belt to walk around with.
Yeah, I mean, that's been that way for so long, and you would have thought they would have changed it a couple of years ago, but...
Well, they did. It stopped spinning, which made it even extra dumber.
Yeah, it's not enough of a change.
That was John Cena's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The John Cena U.S. title, I might add, I actually liked.
But that was also good because of the brief period for which it existed. It was only around for 6 months or so, it worked.
And its untimely end by the hands of JBL.
Did it? What happened?
He threw it in a garbage can and lit it on fire.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, so I mean, the problem with CM Punk now is I guess you could say the protagonist is only as good as his villain, and as you mentioned, this is somewhat distracting. It's not like when we're on radio where I can just pretend that that's not happening, like you're not eating Skittles or something.
You never pretend that I'm not eating Skittles.
True, I'm not a professional here.
No, you're really bad.
The saddest part of that was actually that there was a whole caddy of markers next to him.
Oh yeah, look at that!
Too.
Wow,
Post-its.
it's pretty. Yeah, you know what? Take this. Yeah, continue. I apologize.
Yes, so a hero is only as good as his villain, and that's been sort of a weak spot for CM Punk since lately he's had to deal with John Laurinaitis, as you mentioned, and Alberto Del Rio and The Miz, neither of whom are particularly taking off, I would say. I mean, they're both talented in their own way, but it's like, you know.
Alberto Del Rio will be taking off of work for a long time.
Yes, that's true. He has a torn groin. And, yes, which is,
It's rough.
Yeah, it is rough. But, as opposed to all of the...
Top 3 worst places to get a tear.
Yes.
Groin.
Groin, and groin. Different
Yeah.
parts in the groin.
Yeah.
Groin-taint asshole.
Yeah, probably.
All of which the areas that would be torn if one was to give birth.
This is true.
Okay.
Just saying.
And I think number 4 would probably be cornea. 4 or 5. Cornea. Cornea A, cornea B. Cornea? It's not good to tear a cornea.
Like the eye?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not like cornhole.
No. But that would be bad
Markers
too.
make no.
About Del Rio.
Yes, let's please.
Doesn't he have a great pedigree to be such an awful WWE character?
No, because I feel like I don't know. I don't even know if WWE has really I mean, he's clearly a great heel, I don't know if WWE has the wherewithal to sort of book a masked heel. Like they seem if they have a masked character, besides like I mean obviously there's Kane, but I mean like a masked luchador heel. They want it to be like this larger than life superhero type, which obviously Rey Mysterio is extremely good at. But I don't think that they're wasting Alberto Del Rio in any sense. But I just think he's taken to his character well. It's just I don't know. There's something missing. I mean, you're not getting that heel who's like really clicking like say Triple H was in 2000, or you know, I think the closest thing there is to that maybe now would be Dolph Ziggler because he's really taking off and he's just something interesting and new. It's not like I mean you have these other guys who sort of cut these same slow plotting promos. Even guys like The Miz who are technically good in their delivery. It's very slow and by the book, but Ziggler is something different, and I think he's going to be a guy to keep an eye on in 2012.
And also gives a purpose to Vicky Guerrero, who for the past couple of years I feel has been useless, but now making her like a manager with a stable and an agenda actually like gives a purpose to her being on a show.
Yeah, I mean it's there's a reason for her to feud with the Muppets. She's not just doing it for nothing.
Right. Well, she is herself a Muppet.
She's Muppet-like. She's Muppet-esque. And another high point in wrestling this year I thought was the push of one Mark Henry, who devastated many, leaving a trail of broken bodies and disfigured carcasses in his wake, winning the world.
Sexual chocolate.
Yes.
Mostly poultry carcasses. We should make that clear. Poultry and cattle.
He destroys a lot of carcasses, but yeah, he's a heavy guy. He eats a lot, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And he started his push around June, July with a feud with the Big Show and beat him.
Nothing.
And after that, he was on a roll. He beat Randy Orton for the title. He defended against Randy Orton. His program with the Big Show was sort of cut short by injury. I mean, as you know, he lost the title to Big Show last week, and Big Show lost it to Daniel Bryan. And yeah, so I mean, it sort of abridged what otherwise could have been a longer title reign. But still, I think 2011 was a very good year for Mark Henry.
And speaking of abridged title reigns, is generally speaking, the Big Show had an incredibly short title reign.
Yes. The Big Show's title reign was about 45 seconds. There have been other title reigns that are of that ilk, like
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant's, Jeff Hardy, one of his after he won the title. CM Punk cashed in his Money in the Bank. John Cena, I recall, had one where Batista won the title from him immediately. But yeah, for all intents and purposes.
And that was a defense with Edge, right?
Yes, with Cena and Edge. So for all intents and purposes, this is as short as they get, really. So they've been playing that up with the Big Show as well. But again, Big Show hasn't been world champion for a while, so I guess you could say 2011 was a pretty good year for him.
He didn't get arrested for kissing a 12-year-old girl in the playground, so that was good.
Yeah, that was good. That happened to him when he was 12, by the way. He's not a bad guy. There was that year when he got arrested in Nassau County. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
In, 1998, some guy...
I didn't live in Nassau County in 1998.
Well, you should have kept abreast with our news.
Nah.
You need to go to the microfilm over at the South Shore Herald immediately.
I agree. In 1998, he was involved in an altercation where he beat the crap out of some dude at the hotel bar. I think at the Sheraton next to the Nassau Coliseum.
Yep.
Yes.
Some big guy was messing with him. And by big guy, I mean a guy who was still much smaller than him. And he beat the guy up and messed him up pretty good. But
similar to the Mike Tyson story.
What Mike Tyson's?
Where, some guys were messing with him in the hotel and then in the hotel bar. Apparently, these guys should just not go to hotel bars because people want to mess with them.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories about, that people... I mean, I don't get why they do it to Mike Tyson, but I've heard, or even the Big Show since he's so big, but there are stories throughout time of, guys saying to... wrestlers and saying, oh, you're not that tough, and then the wrestlers having to take care of business, which usually involves them beating the crap out of the drunkards who accosted them. Any other wrestling thoughts? Well, we're not wrapping it up. There's more to talk about, but there is more to talk about. There is. Did you see WrestleMania this year?
I did see WrestleMania. This year.
Did you see WrestleMania this year?
I did not.
Oh, the truth comes out.
No, but I felt the big moment in that WrestleMania was actually the Triple H Undertaker fight because Undertaker hasn't come back.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. I mean,
it was a slow kind of...
I enjoyed the match. It was definitely better than I thought it was going to be, but there were these little, I don't know, things in every Triple H program where he sort of puts himself over at the expense of the other guy. Undertaker having to be carted out, but Triple H leaving under his own power was sort of like, well, yeah, Undertaker won, but who's the real winner? Triple H even mentioned that on Raw a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, that match was very good.
There was a really well-acted moment, actually, after the match where when Undertaker fell, Triple H was like, let me go catch him.
See, even that I didn't like.
Paramedics are
Because
coming.
I thought it was like Triple H being like, oh yeah, I'm the big dog who can catch the Undertaker.
I thought it was a sort of a, where they're trying to do like 100 different versions of is it real, is it not real?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite anti Triple H, and so that could have been clouding my judgment. But
Is that because he didn't show up at the prom?
the prom?
He sent the letter to Triple H, come like Davy Jones.
Oh yeah, it would have been nice. I mean, there was Raw that night, but I know because I watched it right after the prom. Yeah, so that match was good, but the rest of the card was kind of lackluster. The conspiracy theorist in me says that they told the other guys not to work so hard because they don't want to upstage Triple H. But either way, the Undertaker was likely to have the best match on the show. The main event, Cena versus Miz, I thought was really disappointing.
I often confuse The Rock for John Cena.
Well, The Rock was involved. He was he came out and restarted the match.
Because as the host, he had that magic power.
Exactly. After they had a count out in the main event of WrestleMania.
That goes back to the days of...
Exactly. But yeah, I thought that match was, especially since those guys have had much better matches with each other throughout the year, that match was really disappointing. Overall, I think WrestleMania left a few people cold this year. It didn't have... last year I thought in 2010 it was great. In 2009, it was also weak, but the one strong match on the card, Undertaker-Shawn Michaels, I thought was better than Undertaker-Triple H, just because, nothing wrong with Undertaker-Triple H, but the Shawn Michaels match was like...
Taker Michaels 2.
Taker Michaels 1 I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
But that was excellent. They're both excellent, but that one was like pretty much the sole bright spot on the card.
If we're going to talk about past WrestleManias, my personal favorite is 20.
20 was good.
20 was a great one.
My favorite is...
For that tearjerker moment with Benoit and Guerrero. And they're like,
Yeah.
we both have belts!
Yeah, that...
And then it was just kind of like over.
Yeah, it certainly ended. It's not...
I don't think our audience knows what you're referring to.
Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero were
Both dead?
Yes, both dead. Under different circumstances. Were the
Arguably both self-inflicted.
Yes, although one I think it's easier to make that argument.
Fair enough.
Oh.
But they were the champions coming out of WrestleMania 20. There was a whole big, hug in the ring, and everybody thought, this was going to be like a new era for WWE, like the 90s when they were, going back to basics with the wrestling, and they had guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels on top. This was going to be Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. But, it wasn't long before Eddie Guerrero lost the title to JBL. And
Actually gave it up.
Again. Gave it up?
My understanding is that he gave it up due to stress. Like he said, I can't handle being the top guy right now.
I hadn't
Take
heard
this
that.
belt for me.
I heard he was stressed, but it was like more their decision to take it off. But also, there was that match with JBL, the first one that they had before JBL won the title, where Eddie was bleeding. Do you remember that? He bled all over the place, and I think he lost so much blood in that match, his body actually went into shock.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think he was sort of not feeling well for a few weeks during his title reign.
Why didn't they bring him juice and cookies?
I don't know. That's something to ask.
Research it. Time for pizza, people.
They won't. I can tell you that much.
We have the laziest fans in the world.
We do, and I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah. Yes, but coming off WrestleMania, I want to talk about what I thought was actually the best show of the year, which was the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which saw the two Money in the Bank matches. One was won by Alberto Del Rio, and the other was won by Daniel Bryan, both very good matches. The SmackDown title match of Christian versus Randy Orton, which was won by Christian on a DQ, which was a good match, but the ending, obviously was a little unsatisfactory. But the crowning achievement of the pay-per-view was the John Cena CM Punk title match, which has been called the best match of the year. I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with that. And, this was when this is the height of the CM Punk angle, when he actually left the company with the title.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that.
For about a week.
And then he was showing up at different cons.
Yeah, like Comic-Con, he accosted Triple H, and yeah, it was wild. It was for a week. You felt like it was a new and crazy and interesting time to be a fan, Jared.
But then the week after, you were woken up by a cold hard smack in the face, weren't you?
Yeah. Wrestling's been like on a decline since then, I think. But so do a lot of people. So I'm not alone.
Well, they really only save 1.5 storylines a year, and the rest of them are just teased out.
Yeah, even so. I mean, sometimes it's like when they do the storylines, they're burning through a whole bunch in one night. Like the whole CM Punk thing when they had Ray win the title and then Cena won it from Ray and then Punk came back. That all happened in one night, but it could have been like a month or two worth of storylines. But yeah. Does anybody else have any thoughts about this year for wrestling? Any non-WWE? Because I don't watch TNA because I'm afraid it'll give me AIDS. But
I was rather disappointed, and I believe it was in 2011. I've been a little bit out of the wrestling loop due to, children and shit.
spend a lot of time.
But I
with less
thought
than
children were the WWE's target audience.
Not my children. My children.
Too smart? Too smart for that?
They should do a.
They use their diapers not often enough. I felt like TNA switching from the multi-sided ring to the four-sided ring was a bit of a. I mean, I guess they're both multi-sided rings.
Year,
that was last year.
I dick for saying this, yeah, but
no, that was fine because I questioned it. But I still feel like that was like a low point for them.
maybe for your kids they should do a Raw Caillou crossover.
Ah, Raw Caillou.
It's just something for all of them, all parties to think about.
Murray versus Elmo. Those of you who have kids will know what I'm talking about. Battle for the red fur.
Those of you who don't have kids are our listeners. Caillou, yeah. So yeah, TNA. I believe I made you watch one episode of TNA. This was when Ric Flair wrestled Sting.
I watched. Yeah, that's a distant, haunting memory.
Yeah.
I have. It was bad.
Yeah, I've heard they've sort of turned around, but I'm not willing to chance my time is completely of no value. I can't say my time is important. My time is completely unimportant, but I still can't spend 2 hours on that.
I saw a TNA live show actually at
I think I was at the same one you were.
So you have seen TNA?
Yes. I used to watch them semi-regularly until the point where I couldn't stomach it anymore.
Until they started trying to cash in all the old timers that were out of contract.
Yeah, like when they went to Monday nights permanently, and it just got so bad. It was like they debut guys out of nowhere. Like I think they debuted Rob Van Dam, and then Sting beat him up, but then Rob Van Dam beat him in they had a match, and then Van Dam beat him in 10 seconds, and it was very strange.
Rob Van Dam's name is 3 different words.
It is, and they're all 3 letters.
That's true.
One of them is spelled wrong.
No.
I suppose just thinking about Rob Van Dam, the word that comes to mind is not stopping water.
Yeah, Jared, you've been watching wrestling more often this year than ever before.
That's true, and it's destroyed a little bit more of my soul every week.
Don't have a soul.
That's, not anymore.
Oh, okay,
So,
I understand. So, what are your main memories from the year? Oh, last week when we were talking about your favorite wrestler and trying to figure out who it was,
Right.
I forgot to ask you about Ricardo Rodriguez.
Ricardo Rodriguez is by far my favorite wrestling personality.
Good.
Thank you. Wait, what? Which little boy?
Bar Simpson.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's, slightly used, but probably less worn out than yours.
Probably.
So,
he got into that fight on the internet.
yes, we saw a video of him boxing. Which
And
was
he's, hilarious.
So would you say this was the year of Ricardo Rodriguez?
I would.
Okay. Any thoughts on Ricardo Rodriguez? Alberto Del Rio's personal ring announcer?
Oh, that guy?
Yeah.
What is his purpose?
He's a personal ring announcer, and he's damn good at it.
He brings personality to Alberto Del Rio.
No. No, he looks like an extra in one of the Desperado movies.
That's racist.
I want to see it.
Brandon Melendez.
Clash. Clash! There's not going to be a Ricardo Rodriguez debate?
Nah.
I don't have enough. That's it.
I am not passionate about did it all.
Okay.
So.
Oh, can we talk about Del Rio's use of JBL's use of other people's use of the car?
Yeah, the car. There's the car. I withdraw the the defense. So if that's all for wrestling, we can move on to comic books.
Will we?
Will we?
All
We
right. Favorite title of the year, Brandon.
Oh my goodness!
You're on the spot.
I am on the spot because of children. I haven't been reading as many comics as I should be. However,
Favorite title you read of the year. It doesn't have to be.
That's difficult. I would have to say, out of all of them,
It could
titles,
be anything from any point in time.
Oh, if it's anything from any point in time, I did have a life-changing experience with Sandman. However, if we're talking about 2011 books, I would have to say what I read of Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man was Amazing Spider-Man. There's a comment in there. Yeah, I mean, it was just, I really enjoyed...
the comma was after Spider.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, what I was reading before the lead up to the Spider Island arc was just really fun with, like, finally giving Peter Parker a job that made sense, that allowed him to do, like, his Superman thing.
Right.
When he was singing the U2 song in his underwear, it was very, very funny.
I think we all remember that moment that I didn't read.
Yes. So, I mean, there was a lot of that going on, but, I mean, there were some comics that I read that were absolutely amazing this year. I did read Sandman, and due to a lack of funds which have been providing for this wonderful dungeon, I have been using my library's resources for graphic novels. I read Sandman, I read some of Planetary, I've read V for Vendetta, which I surprisingly had never read before.
I also read V for Vendetta this year. For the first time.
Yes. Hashtag Occupy Wall Street.
Yes.
And... yeah, I mean, I feel like I've had a lot of really good comic book experiences, one of which I think we'll save, because it hasn't happened yet. There's going to be a comic book experience happening.
There's a
live on
reason
tape.
for this being on tape. People.
Right.
We're not just, it's not just to stare at us awkwardly gesturing.
And if you're listening to the audio-only podcast version, nana-nana-boo-boo, you smell like doo-doo.
Well, we'll try and describe things a little and gesticulate wildly. Constantly. But, you know, we'll try and be all things to all people, I think.
Also, Brandon Melendez, you heard it here first, making a prediction for the comeback of your local library in 2012.
Libraries. You know about them. There's
They're-
a camera over there for that camera, the camera there.
Yeah.
They're free.
Don't break the fourth wall, man.
There is no fourth wall in this room. This is an
It's like the
unfinished
fifth wall.
room.
Jared, your
Yes.
favorite title of the year?
Favorite title of the year? You know, I also started reading Sandman this year. I haven't
God.
finished. It is my favorite of thing I've read. However, not to bite, I'm gonna go with Venom. Because it's bringing me back to the ongoing series. It's you know, rejuvenated my faith in
I'm glad to hear
in
that.
an interesting ongoing about an everyday superhero.
An everyday symbiote. An everyday army man controlled by an alien symbiote.
Exactly.
The symbiote, which gives him legs.
Exactly.
Very good.
And a big tongue. When he gets mad.
So basically, when you read Venom, it makes him a member of KISS.
Yes, they all have legs.
Yeah.
I am going to go on a similar note.
Did anyone ask you?
I asked myself
All right.
as showrunner.
Okay. Oh, you're the showrunner all of a sudden.
That's how my title was described to me when we started this endeavor, when you begged me to do this podcast.
That's not how I recall it.
Well, your memory has been pretty bad lately.
Yep.
I would like to say that my favorite title of the year, it's true, folks, sad but true, was also written by Rick Remender. It was Uncanny X-Force. I've done a lot of soul-searching about this one, because I didn't know whether to go with Uncanny X-Force or Avengers Academy. Both excellent, but in the end I had to go with Uncanny X-Force. The Dark Angel Saga storyline that just wrapped up was really well done. Have you read anything of
I
it?
read the first 3 or 4 issues of the relaunch of X-Force, and it was pretty badass, I have to say. The last issue that I read had a, you know, little Angus Young apocalypse on the moon, and then I ran out of money. So, I mean, it seemed pretty cool up until that point. I was like,
Yeah, everything since then is pretty much... I mean, like, the first... Even though the Dark Angel Saga was 8 issues, it's really like the first 18 issues of the series.
Right.
Actually 19, because they just had a 19th, and it sort of, like, is an epilogue. They're all really like one long story, and it's been really good. Really
As good
excellent.
comics should be.
Yes.
You know, I'd like to interrupt here, checking the Time for Pizza fan page. We have a comment about comics, which I think we should interject. It is from our longtime supporter and friend of the show, Greg Sagnan. This year kind of sucked for Greg. He wants to know, drawing the line at $2.99 lies. What's up with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, DC started the year by announcing that they were going to keep all their standard size titles at $2.99, and actually they announced that they were cutting the length from 22 pages to 20, and that was supposed to hold true.
Hey, my eyes are up here, guy.
What? I'm talking to the people.
By the way, just as DC has, I have drawn a line at $2.99. It is continuous. It meets the meets all of the definitions of a line.
Yeah.
So
Is it?
that's your answer,
I
Craig.
haven't taken geometry in a while.
Kind
I
of
mean, $2.99. Once they did the relaunch in September, they said that they were going. But then there have been books like the story, but like there was a particular issue of Action Comics that was regular 20-page issue, and then all the back matter was just interviews about the Superman, Supergirl, Superboy titles, and sort of, seems like a little bit of a cheat, if you will, but at the same time, the majority of their books are $2.99, and
It is supplemental material that you could have easily gotten from Newsarama.
yeah, I mean, it's not like, in Justice League, they've sort of gone out of their way to, like, Jeff Johns has been writing extra stuff, like, giving, like, interviews with, like, Steve Trevor in one, and excerpts from books about Atlantis, so he's been actually, they've been, like, putting different things in there.
Additionally, stuff Jim Lee doesn't have to draw.
Right.
Stuff that's not going to make them late. Batman and Robin.
But yeah, so Action, although now in Action they're starting actual backup stories, so that will hopefully, it'll be like a thicker actual book for the money. Anything else? What else did Greg say?
Sure, he misses Lobo. Whatever did happen to Sheriff Lobo?
I was going to say that.
Lobo is... I don't know.
Zarnian. And
Yes.
destroyed his entire planet as a high school science project.
But yeah, has he been around since the relaunch? I don't know.
I haven't seen him, but Lobo has this amazing ability to like regenerate from just one cell. Like he's constantly coming back. The last thing I remember reading Lobo in was Our Worlds at War, which was a huge company-wide crossover that brought in it was like around 2000, and he had been de-aged and was a character in Young Justice for a while, Young Justice being the precursor to the modern the previously modern pre-relaunch Teen Titans book. And he was like turned into a teenager, and then he died on Apocalypse. Rest assured, Greg, that I feel that Lobo will be back. However, in the new 52, he'll probably be some kind of accountant or something.
Yeah, it's
he'll
possible.
be much younger, and maybe he'll have
a high collar.
Maybe he'll have one of those haircuts that like teenagers have, where it covered like the Bieber kind of.
This
Kind of like
It's
that.
pretty, yeah, and it's pretty likely that his underwear will not be outside his pants.
Right. Okay, so Greg goes on to ask, or to point out, Justice League needs to pick up the pace. They're lucky they have Lee drawing it. The 90s, back in comics. Saw that on Newsarama. I agree. It's okay, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of like 90s influences. They're
No, I'm just processing that statement.
yeah, well, so let me start from the beginning. Justice League has been hit and miss for me. I liked the first issue. Second issue was a little slow, and I liked the third. And then I thought the fourth was a little slow, so I'm looking forward to the fifth.
I think I read the first two.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan.
The one
I
that
read
just...
the third one.
Did you like it?
I did, but I liked it. It was like very Wonder Woman heavy, and I'm very interested in the Brian Azzarello Wonder Woman. And even though it didn't really have too much of that stuff going on, it was the only Justice League I received via my subscription, and I've been having big problems with my subscription service.
You can talk about that.
I mean, they can read about it on my blog, which should be flashing here right now. Let's remember to do that.
It's up to you, buddy. I don't know anything about technical.
Let's remember to do that. But yeah, I mean, I've been having some issues with... I subscribed to some of the new 52 titles back in September, and then they didn't come until October, and I had called them, and they said, oh, well, it takes 6 to 8 weeks for books to be considered late. And I was like, that's bullshit. And they were like, well, that's how we do. And I'm like, well, you collected my money on time. And then the next week some comics showed up. And then after I received one of every title I was subscribed to except Action Comics, they stopped coming. And I just got off the phone with them the other day, and they said, well, they've been all flagged and returned as bad address. and that I should talk to the post office about it. But I'm like, hey, I get my other mail, I get my bills, I get all this other stuff. Plus, you guys sent me fucking 4 comics. So I was pretty pissed. So, needless to say, they're sending me some more stuff. And supposedly it's supposed to come in the mail, and they've extended my subscription.
They're sending you some Archie comics to make you feel better?
If only. If only they could send me that Archie comic, Mega Man.
Oh, yes.
But you wanted the issue where Archie and Jughead finally do it.
They do have a gay character now, though.
Yes, they do, but I've heard that Jughead's balls look weird.
Balls look funny.
They each wear a crown.
Oh, God.
So, in summation, on notice, DC Comics, the post office, but looking good for 2012 still, the local library.
And Dolph Ziggler.
And Dolph Ziggler.
All right, let's keep a running list.
Yes.
Like, don't like.
Right.
You hate Dolph Ziggler for the right reasons, though.
Right.
So that's what he's going for.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Like you.
Mostly his name. Ooh,
Yeah, it's
Dolph
name.
Ziggler, Adolf Hitler. Ooh, Adolf Ziggler.
Adolf Ziggler. They should bring in his younger brother, Adolf Ziggler.
Would this be his sword?
That
Yeah,
might be
probably.
his sword, yeah.
Yeah, if you see that in the background, we are not Nazi supporters. We merely stole this Nazi
It's more
sword.
like we defeated the Nazis, and now we have their swag behind us.
Would you
It's
like the true story?
Right.
Yeah.
This sword came to me by way of my grandfather.
That the sword cost $5,000.
And he got it from somebody who had it for some reason. It's a real Nazi ceremonial sword. And I used to keep this under my bed. And every night I would unsheath it, and I can show you the rust. Spit on it, put it back in, and put it underneath my bed.
Did you really?
Yes. And that's what this rust is from. Because as you can see, where I didn't spit on it, it's in pretty good condition.
Yeah.
So, unlike the Master Sword, which I cherish, this sword...
Master
Sword,
Race sword
Master
is,
Race? What?
The Master Race sword is
Yeah.
not so much cherished as it is, haha, look who has you now.
You should take it on the Antiques Roadshow. Well, if it wasn't for this spit rust, we'd be talking in the tens of thousands.
Sometimes you have to stand by your scruples,
You
ladies and
do,
gentlemen.
you do.
Which my wife keeps in a jar upstairs next to the, next to the olive oil. Wife humor.
What's that like?
Yeah. Explain it for our listeners.
It is incredibly fulfilling most of the time. I love my wife. She's great. She's the best. Something funny flashing. Here.
Wait. No. Okay.
Oh, where'd it go? Yeah.
There we go. This man has no genitalia.
Well, just consigned them elsewhere.
Oh yeah, and so we're talking Justice League.
Yes.
Yeah, this past issue. I mean, I guess we usually go spoiler light on the show, but whatever.
I say this episode we go
Just let
spoiler
it all
heavy.
hang out?
Yeah. It's the end of the year, people. You've had all this time to catch
Exactly,
up.
especially for this one book which came out
listening to
last
this,
week.
right?
Probably.
You know what? I don't know
Or
when
high
this is
from
I don't know when
huffing
this is,
glue.
I don't know when this is going to go up, but I can guarantee you most of our listeners will be drunk.
Right.
Probably like 9 o'clock in the morning, January 21st, but even so.
Yeah.
And the last issue reintroduced Darkseid at the end, and I, for one, was pretty underwhelmed. I guess just because, I mean, they have a redesign and it looks kind of cool, but it doesn't have the same... I've been reading Jack Kirby's Fourth World recently, and it's like Darkseid has this gravitas to him that he didn't have in this. I mean, granted, he just came at the end of the issue, and his only line was, "I am Darkseid," which, you know, I knew personally. I could recognize him. But, you know, in the Fourth World saga, he's a very interesting villain. He's very nihilistic, obsessed with death, and obsessed with ruling the universe and destroying it. And
the anti-equation.
Exactly, the anti-life equation. And he's a very complex character, and I mean, obviously they didn't get into it here, but I'm not sure I have faith in them getting into it as the series progresses. You know, hopefully they will. I'll check it out, but I don't know. The heavily detailed Jim Lee Darkseid, it looked nice, but I mean, I guess I'm just, you know, a fan of the Jack Kirby Darkseid. So, yeah, Justice League is on notice, I guess. You don't have to write it down.
I don't like Justice League.
And as far as the 90s, yeah, people were making money, so...
So we do like the 90s.
Yes, we like the 90s.
What about the 1940s?
No, fuck the 40s.
Pretty bad decade across the board.
Yeah.
Not Peace Victory.
No. Okay.
Comics. Any other comic stuff? Let's talk about some more interesting series. This year,
Let's talk about interesting series.
let's talk about something that's not going to bore the shit out of everybody. Batman Inc. I liked, and they just wrapped it up with a one-shot, Leviathan Strikes.
Very long.
Yeah,
Very
it was a
long.
bit of a head trip.
And didn't it happen in an old continuity?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one of those things I didn't like. On the title page, it says, the events of this comic took place before everything that's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean...
So did it say it like that?
Yeah, pretty much. It said before
the events of the New
Flashpoint
52,
and
yeah.
the New 52.
Because, well, I mean, there are things in that comic that have been directly...
Negated?
Yeah, like, I don't want to give away spoilers if there was one character who was...
What did we just say?
I don't want to give away, like... These are like, too spoilerish.
Okay, I haven't been reading comics. I'm going to totally overtake their show. You can look at it online. It's got something to do with someone named Schmurfmurfrown and the fact that she's...
No, it's not even that. It's just that there was one character who was killed off in this issue, and he's very much alive in the New 52, so...
Oh, I didn't know about that.
But
I'm guessing it's Batwing.
Yeah, it's Batwing.
Yes. I didn't even know that.
That was a good guess.
Wait, Batwing died in this issue?
Yeah, they.
I read
they
it mere hours ago, and I
Didn't
don't.
they say they found
I
his?
read the book
his
and I
head?
didn't know he died.
Or his? I think they mentioned that he was killed.
No, he wasn't killed.
I'm pretty sure he was killed.
They showed him alive.
Yeah, after that they mentioned that he was killed.
By the way, Batwing was
You're
killed.
gonna quote me chapter and verse, Jared?
No, I'm. You keep talking. I'm gonna do some research.
Other interesting books this year were Punisher Max, which returned after a hiatus last year when artist Steve Dillon was busy. It's nice. It's bound. It's glue
It is
bound.
Thick. Look at that. Look
I
at
haven't seen that in a while.
It was nice.
$6.99. $6.99.
Drawing the line at $6.99.
It was a long book, and it had a fancy binding, if I didn't mention that. Punisher Max returned. It was on hiatus last year, and it's rapidly drawing towards its conclusion. I think there are 2 more issues left, and that's been one of those series that's just been incredibly consistent in terms of quality. Same with Scalped, and pretty much everything Jason Aaron has been writing. We've discussed Incredible Hulk on the show before, which is...
I can't go back into this issue because it will reopen my headache.
Yeah, the issue was, as a lot of Grant Morrison comics are, this got a little trippy, and, it required close and possibly numerous readings.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. Like I said, I have plenty of time on my hands, and I wasn't going to spend it watching TNA wrestling, so it worked out. Any other comics?
No.
Any other comics?
I mean, we got this whole thing over here.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. That we're
We're
saving
yeah.
saving the best for last. We got a surprise for
So-
you.
Hold on. I mean, I can look over at my wall here that you can't see. The wall that's not a wall because there's no
Oh
fourth
my
wall in
God,
this
it's
room.
beautiful.
It's actually the source wall. But, I mean, I'm trying to see what's new there, and I can't think of anything. We could just point to things that were great, like Earth X.
I never
But-
read Earth X.
You can borrow it.
Maybe I will.
You can take it from the source wall. But, you know what? On an interesting note, I'm seeing there, and this is reminding me, I have on there a big bound book of the daily Batmans, like the strips from the 40s.
Right.
And recently, our crew, my father-in-law Glenn, brought this 1940s movie serials DVD of the Batman like movie serials, and it is like page for page the exact same thing. You guys have to see this. Actually, I'll show it to you before you leave. There is like this one bad guy at the beginning of the serials, and he's like this guy in a wheelchair. Sorry, 1940s spoiler alert, but he's like a guy in a wheelchair, and then he gets into this like magnetic machine that makes him walk, and he puts a black like opaque mask over his head and goes into a cave under his house, much like Batman should be doing, but doesn't do it all. And like has these henchmen, but the way the henchmen get to his hideout, because they don't know he's this doctor, is so crazy. They go behind a bush, through like one of those bomb shelter hatches, climb down a ladder, get into a submarine. The submarine goes into a cave. Then from the cave, they walk up to this wall, and the wall is a hologram, and the guy in the mask uses this super advanced tech like 1940s Superman cartoon diodes machine to see them through what is essentially a closed-circuit television. And then the wall moves and they walk in. Meanwhile, this is just like behind this guy's fireplace.
Yeah, I hope they didn't leave the screen door open or something.
But they've got like all of this hilarious stuff going on, and the Batman costume is terrible, and it's really absolutely worth your time to watch just for the campiness factor. But like, it gave me a new appreciation for Robin as like this getaway driver type, because he's like driving the car all the time, but they're just like driving Bruce Wayne's car dressed as Batman and Robin. It's like the 40s must have been great, and the choreography is real yet terrible. Like, they're grabbing Batman's cape and like trying to pull him to punch him and stuff like that. And because it's the 40s, it's pre-Miranda rights, so the cops are just like fucking shooting people for no reason. It's really worth your time.
Does Batman carry a gun in this, or?
No. Luckily, they did not break with that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's really interesting, and it lines up so well with the dailies. Like, it reads exactly like that, except it's a little bit darker. It's a little bit darker because I guess it's in the movies and they were doing different things, and in like the dailies, it's a lot of that old chum kind of shit. But not as bad as in the 60s. But it's really just something very interesting that just popped into my head. Thank you, Magical Wall of Comics.
Very good. Comics, they really have all the answers, don't they?
I mean, except for what women really look like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I was thinking about that today when I was reading the Batman Inc. Trade, or whatever that is. You know, at the yes, just a bunch of high school age girls who have like the most enormous bosom you've ever seen.
Also a thing that is real.
Well, yeah, well.
Just saying.
I spent $6.99 on it, Jerry.
All right, I get it. They're marketing.
What a great segue this would be for something we're going to be doing later.
yeah, but we still have a few more things to talk about. Let's talk about the year in television.
Yes.
And, yes, we talked about a lot of good shows on the podcast, but my personal favorite was Breaking Bad, so its 4th season this year, which was, in my opinion, the strongest season yet. And I know you've watched Breaking Bad. Have you caught up, or?
I have not caught up, and I will add to those of you in the audience that this is generally around the time when Breaking Bad comes up that I turn your fucking podcast off. But
we never talk spoilers about.
No,
and I wouldn't know that because as soon as you speak about Breaking Bad, I say this.
Yeah, there are too many people who haven't seen it. Like we keep telling Jason, get Netflix, and he's like, one of these days.
Cassidy, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, she has Netflix. She has no excuse.
Yeah, we can point at both cameras. And Netflix is pretty good. I haven't been able to watch it because of just several intense events that have been going on. So I've fallen out of my falling out of Breaking Bad. I'm somewhere towards the end of season 2. Like the last episode, I think I'm a couple episodes after that one with the fly.
No.
Oh, that's the end of season 3.
That's season 3?
Yeah, so you're almost done.
Oh, okay. So I'm almost caught up to things that I may have to.
What's on Netflix.
Right, and then I just have to wait for it to rerun.
Hey.
That's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Of course.
No other way to see these episodes.
Yeah, so that was definitely my favorite show of the year. You know, I don't know if you were going to say that too, but if you did, I stole it from you.
Yeah, definitely my favorite drama of the year.
What else did you like?
This was the year that both Breaking Bad and Mad Men came onto Netflix. So, Mad Men, big
AMC
show.
one.
Big AMC show, see.
See, I didn't get into Mad Men. I wasn't not a fan. I watched the first 2 episodes, but I did like Walking Dead, so that's enough for me to put AMC in the like, definitely.
Have you guys watched Hell on Wheels? Is it?
I watched
good?
the first episode. I didn't care for it.
And he was on a major Wild West bender.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to like the show, but then I was like, no, nothing really happened. It was kind of lame, but maybe I have to give it another shot, but I probably won't. Because if you cross me once...
Shame on you.
Yeah, if you cross me twice, you won't get fooled again. Sons of Anarchy.
Yes. Sons of Anarchy, I have to say, ended very weak. We mentioned this before,
we were
so
both
I'm not
underwhelmed.
quite as psyched for the next season.
But, you know, it'll be a while before the next season starts. But, so by then maybe, you know, we'll have forgotten the bad and cherished the good.
Right?
And then we'll be like, oh, this season something's gotta happen.
Okay, favorite reality show?
Favorite reality show? I'm gonna have to go with,
We're going with Work of Arts? Or are we going with Face-Offs? Which we did not really talk about on the podcast, save
we didn't
for
talk
one
about
mention.
Face Off. We also like The Ultimate Fighter and Tough Enough.
And The Ultimate Fighter and Tough Enough, that's a good point.
A lot of nominees here.
Ultimate Fighter or Tough Enough? I'm going with Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, there are 2 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter this year, actually.
First season or second season?
Second season.
Okay, definitely.
And I'm going to have to say that was my favorite. No slight to Work of Art or Face Off, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. And did you have a particular favorite?
Nope.
Do you watch any reality shows?
I don't watch that shit.
It's all shit. It's good. It's
Work of art. Greg also asks when we're going to have an interview with Kimya. It may not happen.
It may not happen, but hopefully it will.
Yes.
It's up to higher powers than us.
The other Scott.
Yes, the other Scott. How's that for warping your mind?
Yeah.
So I'm getting some kind of time warning. What's this? I'm confused.
What are we, 5 minutes HD left?
Yes.
HD, okay. I thought it said 4D, so I was very confused.
12.
12, okay. So, on that note, is it time
5 minutes of 4D left.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus, the whole world is just going to get...
Just the multiverse is gone.
On that note, do you want to move to the box?
Yes. On an interesting note, I acquired
Tell us the story, Brandon.
I acquired through the means of people not paying for their storage some boxes of stuff. And this stuff would be comics. And these comics are, by and large, from what I can tell, I haven't really looked through them, but from what I can look at, from what I can see of these boxes, it's generally like a lot of 90s stuff. And like all of these different, I see like Dark Horse at the top and all this other stuff, and there's this awesome Age of Apocalypse era Weapon X bag. Ooh. So like, and I remember all this stuff from buying comics, you know, when I was a kid. So I thought it would be fun to kind of look through this, and for the like, honestly, we really haven't looked through this. However, there is one thing that stands out. I would like to do it first.
Okay, let's go.
It's this is just crazy because when I was taking this stuff from my friend's house, this book just stood out, and it's Beta Sexus from the Eros Comics Library, and it just has the greatest tagline ever. It's a cosmic coos fest of galactic proportions when 2 lusty bisexual nymphomaniacs, each with a dark and nasty secret, cruise the spaceways in search of whatever action comes their way, and it comes aplenty. You beta, you bet. By what the hell is this? Masqueratique Studios. And really the only thing that, even on the willy-nilly internet, that we can show you from this book is the cover. But now that I'm looking at the back, the other things from this comics library are Birdland, Young Witches, Wendy Whitebread, 2 Hot Girls, Ironwood, Karate Girl, Liz and Beth, Blonde, Talk Dirty, Lan with 2 N's, more Liz and Beth, and Time Wankers. I'm done.
Now, Brandon, how many of these titles on the back do you think are still ongoing to this day?
I would be surprised if any of them.
Time Wankers, probably due to time travel, is still ongoing.
Now,
Time Wankers may return.
Again, we can't show you anything in here, but I'm going to open up to something. Oh, wow, there is
it's like the stuff they won't print in heavy metal. Yeah, it's like the stuff they just refuse to put in heavy metal.
We've talked about Buttfuck You before on this show, and you know, these were all from a simpler era when pornography...
Hey, Scott, check that out.
Yeah, that's happening all right. These from a simpler era when pornography was less available, so, you know, there were a lot of... you know, more creative ways for it to come into our society. And one of these was through erotic comics. You know,
you have to just assume they were drawn with someone's dick.
Probably. And, you know, I think that, you know, in a way, like, things like this being gone from our society really...
oh, wow.
Wow, sex and violence.
Yeah.
Things like that being gone really herald a downturn in society. There was a golden age.
There is a scene of a wolfman... having doggy-style sex with some woman.
Possibly wolf style.
And he's going, "Arr!" Okay, let's put this
That is the noise they make.
Now, I mean, there's bound to be some other things going on in
Nothing
here.
as good, probably.
I mean, just great ideas of a bygone era, like Dark Horse Comics' Catalyst Agents of Change.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a substrate.
And the non-Superman ripoff of Titan. I mean, and... As Scott pointed out when we were hauling these boxes down into the dungeon, these books are actually numbered by week.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, and look, Titan is a member of the Catalyst Agents of Change.
Maybe that's why they're bagged together.
Oh, and this one, his name was like Loneheart. I have like his #1 issue somewhere.
Wow.
It's probably worth $1.
It's probably worth less than cover.
Pull out some more random junk.
That's just
like in Beta Sexus.
Oh god, I don't even know. This is actually like a good box because it's annotated and there's like Hellblazer and Invisible and stuff. And I know that there's some Sandman in here, but let's talk about something that you wouldn't
Is that Star
expect.
Trek and the X-Men?
This is Star Trek and the X-Men, and I remember these things going on, and it's Marvel Presents Paramount Comics.
This looks like it's from the late 90s.
I
May
mean,
98. Wow. I'm surprised they did that so late in the...
They also did written novels, like prose novels.
Yeah. Look, there's Worf with some X-Men back
It
there.
looks like Storm.
Yeah.
Slash Uhura. I think the artist just got very confused.
You got, what is it,
Riker
on
Beta,
the
and
front?
Wolverine. That's the
Riker,
kind of thing
Beta,
you can only
and
dream of.
Yeah.
And,
It's pretty amazing.
Colossus. Colossus looks sort of like Vince McMahon here.
Doesn't he always?
I don't think he usually does.
Right, what other gems can we find
This
in
is
this
amazing.
magic box of yours?
Let's see.
Again,
Let's see if I can find out something pretty good. DC Vertigo Black Orchid.
I don't know.
It looks like a Sandman era cover, actually.
Let me see who is it Dave McKean, the artist. This looks like a Dave McKean.
Yeah.
It does. It's very much in that
It
line.
doesn't really say, but here, if you want to take a look at that, there we go.
Let's see. Let's move on to another box. This is something that I've actually been waiting a long time to get, and it would be the graphic novel adaptation of William Shakespeare's King Lear.
Wow. Getting classy.
Yeah, and the art is very art school. I can show you this. It's very I don't know. I don't even know how to explain this thing that I'm holding.
If you're looking for something easier to read than the Shakespeare version, I don't know if this is it.
Yeah, this is not it, because this is hard to look at. I mean, this reminds me of, like, Liquid Television kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do they have... Well, yeah, I'm sure they have it. Something.
Look it up.
Needless to say,
Yeah,
the
there it
90s were a crazy time for comics.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like me growing up in a nutshell over here. I mean, a lot of DC Vertigo stuff in this box, too. I'm
surprised you're so tall, considering you grew up in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Whoa, Lindsay, crack your
Oh,
cheeks.
how about this? An actual for reals copy of... Is this an installment or the whole book of Batman Year One?
Yeah, I think that's the whole
Looks like
book.
the whole Batman Year One. So there are some trades in here.
Only slight water damage.
Yeah, only slight. And,
Hey,
Big
those
up.
are better for reading.
yeah, I mean, I could keep them in the bathroom without water damaging them myself.
Let's hope it's just water.
Damaging them?
Yep.
Damaging them via water.
I wouldn't actually touch Beta Sexus, but this is
I mean, it's
probably
been touched. Clearly.
And it's touched all of us. Clearly.
Now, alright, I don't even know what this is. Futures Past is, in this issue, the entirety of 1929. I guess this is just some sort of a guide, like Gray's Sports Almanac for 1929 for comics. This is a
See, what we
visual
need to
guidebook to
do
science fiction
is
history.
we need to go back in time to 1915 and make a shitload of bets.
on Buck Rogers
Exactly.
and Ray Cummings. Oh God, how many times is that word gonna come up in this box?
I bet it's going to be a good year for Ray
yeah.
Cummings.
Beta Sexus.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, I got Sin City, single issues and trades. Oh, is this a winner?
You know, Brandon, you could very well say
Vampirella.
numbers.
Vampirella, for those of you who don't know, is not Elvira,
No,
but might as well
definitely
be.
not Elvira.
She fits sort of somewhere in between Elvira and Barbed Wire, I would say, Vampirella.
Vampirella predates barbed wire, does she?
I'm just saying if
Yeah.
there was a spectrum of things. I mean, if you're looking for... Okay, so this is more of like your sexy comic that's not beta sexist.
Yeah, it's a little more refined, I think. This is the kind of thing that, you could buy your 14-year-old son.
I mean, with the exception that this is apparently the Vampirella flip book over here. I don't know what she's doing flip booking, but
She should put on more clothes. It looks cold in the
bite your tongue. You are going against everything that this is about. However, the angel on top
Beta
of...
sexes should probably have more discourse. Intellectual discourse, not sexual discourse.
I mean, the angel up here, however, if you can see it, the angel on here definitely needs more clothes. But Vampirella, she is perfectly covered as she need be.
All right.
I mean, Check out the creative team.
Kurt Busiek and Art Adams. That's a pedigree.
Hey, God bless you, Vampirella. Or I guess.
All right, let's pull a couple more out.
Let's see. Oh, good old heavy metal.
Ah.
I am not a fan of the movies and never read the magazine.
The magazine is fun in its way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, oh, here we go. Self-loathing comics
Yes,
expose
yes.
the details of R. Crumb's everyday life.
Nice.
Very nice.
That actually might be worth money.
Maybe. Mind if I thumb through it?
Okay, listen,
We're running towards the end of the podcast here.
That's some tape.
I mean, really, for those of you listening to this, you actually should be looking at the podcast on the video, which is on schmurf.com.
Yeah.
I mean,
All
this
right.
is just pretty fun stuff. Oh, the R. Crumb. That's exactly what that stuff looks like. But look at this.
Well, let's. Yeah.
This is actually something I would have been reading in the 90s.
Justice League Task Force looks really boring.
Yeah, but it's part of Night Quest: The Search, which was actually in between Night's End and Nightfall. Nightfall being relevant to the upcoming Batman movie, which was when Batman got his back broken. This was during the time when Azrael was in fact Batman, and Batman had a broken back and was learning how to walk again, because apparently that's something you can do.
And then in Leprechaun 6, we learned that the Leprechaun from Leprechaun 4 was Leprechaun. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to wrap
That
up
is all the time we have
episode
for today.
number 11, year end, 2011. What a shitty year.
I agree. Until next time,
Nerds,
nerds.
we are.
We are.
We are.
I mean, you are. I'm not.
Yeah.
Until next time, time for pizza.